Hey, welcome back to my allotment towards the end of July or mid-July. What is the date? I think it's the 18th. Either way, I wasn't actually planning on doing a tour this evening. I came here to do some weeding and some watering. It's been an incredibly hot day and I'm quite behind on the weeding, to be honest, as I was in last month's video, and if anything it's only just got worse. And you know what, I'm okay with that because this last year and a half, 2 years, it's been pretty tough on all of us, and we cannot be too hard on ourselves for how things have gone in the garden, particularly if they've not gone too well. And I think for me, knowing that last year, I had the Gardener's World visit, I put a lot of pressure on myself to get it looking immaculate, and it was probably the best it's ever going to look last year. So I don't want to be comparing myself to that. It's just a little bit weedy, and that's fine. But yeah, this month it's been very stormy. We've had a lot of rain at the start of the month, and now it's getting quite hot. I think today was about 28-29 degrees, and that's very hot for us Brits. We can't deal with it very well at all. So yeah, I was just going to do a bit of watering and weeding, but I figured this evening could be the coolest evening for this week. But yeah, I'm just sat here with some of my tropical plants this evening. I've given my cannas and my big elephant ear a good feed and a good water because they're all in pots. And yeah, this month it's flown by. What's happening? Harvested loads of peas, loads of strawberries. They're starting to go over now. Had a bit of a rat problem for a while. I don't want to talk about it too much because it creeps me out, but basically they trapped themselves in the bird seed bin, which had a lid on it with a brick on it. So how they got in, I don't know. But one of them was pregnant, and then there was more than what we thought, so we had to deal with that, which was not cool, and put me off coming here for a while. So but I'm back, and I've just spotted, oh my god, the first dahlia that's in bloom. It's over there. So on the tour today, well, there's quite a bit to see, and let's get on with it. Before we go through my gate, I just noticed that the hawthorn tree that's above my gate is now absolutely covered in hawthorn berries, which is fantastic news for all the birds that like to eat them over the winter months. So let's step through and see how the plot's looking. Minding that big bramble as we go through. But it is an absolutely gorgeous evening to be on the plot now that it's getting a little bit cooler. The bramble got stuck in my hair. And you can see right through down to the city. Look at that sky. I think cutting that bottom hedge is one of the best things that I've done here on the plot in the last sort of year or so. Now the grandma's border is looking rather weedy. It needs a bit of maintenance. The bindweed particularly has come through quite a bit, and I'm actually in the process of cutting back this hardy geranium because it should bloom again for us if I cut it back really hard. But the roses were in bloom earlier this month and they look absolutely gorgeous, and I got the peonies, so I was so chuffed with how it's all coming along. And the apricot foxgloves were blooming as well, and they're just starting to go over now, like this one. I'm going to save the seeds, but I'm pretty sure, I've got a feeling they might not come true. Hello bee. I've just spotted that the jasmine that's climbing up the old plum tree is actually just starting to bloom, and I can just about smell them. That fragrance is absolutely one of the best scents of summer. Reminds me of being on holiday, which is not going to be happening this year for many of us. And in between all of the bindweed, we've got the blue cornflowers that are coming up, and the pansies. Look, they've been going on for months and months. And in the border that's just in front, you can hardly see them for the weeds, but there are lots of parsnips down there that I sowed in June, so quite a late sowing. But they've almost all come up, which is really good, because you've got to have just the right conditions for the parsnips to germinate, and I like to wait until the soil is definitely warm enough. So I need to thin them out and hopefully the carrot fly won't come, because I very rarely actually net the parsnips. They're not as sniffed out, I don't think, as much as the carrots. On the plus side, all of these wildflowers have been attracting lots of birds, particularly the goldfinches. I've noticed they've been eating a lot of the seeds from some of the thistles that I left under the apple tree. And the strawberry cages have been a great success again this year. I harvested lots of berries, starting to go over now, although the taste wasn't as good as in previous years. I think because we had a lot of rain, we had a lot of stormy weather for a couple of weeks, and I think all of that rain meant that the berries went a little bit watery and a bit mushy without the sunshine to sort of sweeten them. So it's always best to harvest your berries before the rains. But in front of those we've got my red sweet corn, and just look at those stems. They've really shot up in the last couple of weeks. But interestingly, the ones at the back are much taller than the ones at the front. And if you remember, when I planted these, well, I planted them out a little bit early because they fell out of their seed tray when the table toppled. So I just threw them out, and as in planted them out. And that one is probably about 2 foot shorter than all the others. Although that row, in fact. So we'll see if they catch up. But I've still got plenty of corn. So, oh look, we've also got the first tassels, which means we've got the first cobs appearing in there. I'll just have to shuffle down to the side because I trod in an ant's nest, which is the story of my life. These red ants are always after me. I've got my short little welly boots on this time, but they actually do manage to climb up them. Ah, there's one there now. No, you don't. No, you don't. Off, off, off. Okay, I think I just found one of their nests right there. Let's move away. Moving away. I don't want to go down there because of the ants, but those there are my sunflowers that I planted amongst the strawberries. And, well, they're probably up to about my waist, so they're not very tall, but we shall see. I've not really been watering them as much as I should or feeding them, so it's not going to be a big competition for me. It's just a bit of fun. But down there are my autumn fruiting raspberries, very tall now. And the apples are getting much bigger by the day. My rhubarb's starting to go over. We'll stop picking that soon, really. Give it a chance to recover for next year and die down. But look at all these apples. Gonna have a good crop this autumn, I think. The pelargoniums are blooming, coming into their own now. I've decided I don't mind the red flowers after all. Down into the wildlife corner, well, we can't get very far this month. It's all starting to get a little bit overgrown. Woo! Oh my gosh, a huge pigeon just landed on my shed behind me. Oh god, almost took me out. Yeah, so a lot of things are going over, like the lupins and the hardy geranium, which I'll cut back, might get a second flush. Need to fill up the bird bath. And what else have we got? Can't remember the name of that one back there, but that one's an autumn bloomer. I bought quite a few wildflowers from the wildflower farm in Nottingham last year, so we've got some of those dotted around here. That's a field scabious, that purple. The butterflies absolutely love that. We've got a white campanula that's also started to come up. Where are you? Down there, look. There's big white bells. Yes, this is one of the areas that I've just left go wild, and I really don't mind. The birds are eating the seeds. Here we are, I'm actually stood in here now. I must deadhead all of those docks before they at least seed, because they are the bane of my life. I really don't like getting rid of docks, they're quite hard work. And you must do it after the rain, and we're probably not going to get any of that for a while. But that's the field scabious. The quaking grass is almost over now, look. The little seed pods are all bursting apart, spreading their seed further around the wildlife area. I do love the light at this time of the evening, where it just pours down here. Now the bed outside my shed, which was last year, was all straw flowers, and the Panicum elegans frosted explosion type of grass, is now all dahlias, cosmos, some honesty. I've thrown a little bit of everything in here. Didn't think too much about the space, so we'll see how they grow. But look, it's the first dahlia. And this is Dahlia natal, really plummy colour. Gorgeous pon-pon variety with quite small blooms. I got a little visitor on this one. How are your dahlias doing? These ones are the best of the bunch. They get the most sun, I think. A lot of people ask me how I deal with slugs on the dahlias, and I don't really treat slugs at all. I rely on their predators, so I try and encourage them as much as I can to help deal with it for me. And also I plant them out when they're quite established and quite big, so they can withstand a bit of a nibble. But as you'll see later, they haven't all made it. I've got another collection here, some of which haven't been planted out yet. They're still in their pots. But these ones are all coming through as well now. And the trellis this year, well, it's never looked better. The clematis is absolutely stunning. And the ginkgo, did you see this last month? I don't think you did. Well, I've got a soft spot for ginkgos, always have done. And I finally treated myself to one. Obviously it can become quite a big tree, but I'm going to keep it in a pot and kind of keep it quite small as best as I can. So as you can see, it's in a fairly good sized pot. And look at the bottom of the border, that persicaria, love that foliage. It's all coming together, really filling out that trellis now, which I'm really pleased with. I know what some of you might be thinking about the ginkgo, and that is don't get a female plant because the fruits can smell pretty bad, so I'm told. I've never actually smelt one before. I don't mind if I've got a male or female, because to be honest the fruits are only going to be on it for a few weeks, and that's if mine even does fruit when it's this small. I don't know. But that's not going to put me off. This is an amazing tree. They call it a living fossil because it's one of the oldest types of trees. You know, it's millions of years old, and it's the last of its genus as well, so it's a really fascinating tree. And the leaves are just absolutely gorgeous. They're like butterfly wings, and they turn the most buttery yellow colour in the autumn time. So ooh, hello bee. So yeah, I'm rather in love with my new ginkgo. As I said, my cannas have all had a feed, and if I just spin round, you'll see, well, the potatoes are not looking that great, to be honest, and looks like, is that blight? That looks a little bit blighty to me. I've seen lots of people have been affected by blight in the last couple of weeks, tomatoes and potatoes. How are yours doing? The rest of them seem okay, and I need to do a bit of a harvest on my shallots. I've only harvested one bucket so far. These dahlias are coming up soon, they've got buds on them. And I've just sown, a few weeks ago actually, last week, my carrots. A bit late this year, they're just making an appearance now, which means I need to get them covered with netting so that the carrot fly doesn't come along and lay its eggs and eat. Oh my gosh, I've just spotted my first squash. Can you see that all the way down there? Hello. Wow, yeah, these have grown pretty well over the last month or so. So my squash patch is now absolutely chock-a-block. And I've put a few cosmos in here as well, because they'll grow hopefully above all of those leaves and bloom. And I've just spotted loads of little tiny fruits. So that looks like a Turk's turban to me. But yeah, hopefully I've got lots of squash coming, which is pretty exciting. Back to the potato side, and we've got a lot of things going to seed still. The beetroot and the parsnips. This parsnip has actually fallen over onto my courgette plant. And look, we've got courgettes to pick. I've not actually harvested any yet. Let me check the other plant. Oh yeah, hello. There's at least 4 on there I can harvest as well. And picking them young encourages them to fruit even more, so Might nab those before I go. Here we've got my rosacrone pea, which had the most amazing flowers on, which is why I've stuck it right here, slap bang in the middle of my plot. And now we've got the pea display, and they may not be the biggest pods, so they do not hold the most amount of peas, but they taste great and the plant looks good, you know. And I don't have that many sweet pea flowers this year, but this just absolutely made up for it. There we are. How many we got? 4 or 5. They taste so good. In front of the polytunnel, my broad beans have all come out now, and my beans, well, the ones that are growing are the ones that I bought. It's a really big, gigantic Greek bean, can't remember the name, and underneath I've sown lots of beetroot direct. I literally just threw the seed down. The other side hasn't germinated because that was from my saved seed from a year or 2 ago, which isn't obviously coming up, so missed out on that a little bit. But here we are with my sugar magnolia peas. They're doing really well, starting to go over, that's why they're all yellowing. We've had a real heat wave, so peas don't like the heat that much. And we've got even more back there, so it's a good year for peas. And this bed here is where I had all of my garlic. You may have watched my garlic harvest video. So they're all out of the ground now in the freezer. And I already planted 2 squash plants here just before I harvested the garlic, and they are romping away now. And we've also got a row of spinach with some flowers next to the path. So we've got some cosmos and some straw flowers and that panicum elegans grass, which I really love. I keep spotting even more little squash hiding under the foliage and it's just great to see. This little corner does have some cucumbers in here somewhere that I was trying to train along this makeshift fence trellis. And oh yes, look, that's what those little tiny fruit babies are going to be. I can't believe that I still have forget-me-nots, and I'm actually going to leave them to dry and harvest a lot of the seeds. Looking at my 2 dahlia borders there, and I've got that other huge foxglove which is also about to go to seed. And oh yes, look, it's turning all brown and crispy. So now's the perfect time to sow your foxgloves and collect it. So what I'll actually be doing is in the next day or 2, because it's still quite green up there at the top, and we've still got, oh look, 1 lone flower. What I need to do is cut this off at the base, stick it into a brown paper bag and shake it. Alternatively, you can always harvest it and shake it over a patch of soil where you want them to grow. In between all of the dry stones, we've got the Erigeron Caravanskianus, which is coming into full bloom. Always looks stunning, softens that hard edge. And the dahlias are growing kind of well in it. I've also got one of my cannas, but this one, look, absolutely annihilated by the slugs. So yeah, I get affected too, guys. What I might do is take that one out and replace it with one of the good ones that I still have in pots that I didn't plant out. Yeah, so we've got lots of buds on their way, lots of Wizard of Oz in there this year, but this area behind is like the weedy section I'm talking about. Lots of brambles that I really need to cut back. So yeah, the second patch is also looking quite good. The fig tree is making a good recovery. Obviously the top half died, so I've cut it right back. I think a lot of people I've asked around, a lot of people were affected by the May frosts that we had and have lost either part of their fig tree, all of it, or some of their citrus like I did as well. But this makes me feel a lot better that it's not completely lost. Look at that right there. That is another reason why it's good to leave some of the weeds, especially our nettles. It is vital nesting places for our butterflies and our moth populations. I'm just going to mind that stinging nettle as I go into the polytunnel where it's becoming a bit of a jungle. The plants are getting quite tall now, especially these tomatoes. And we've got lots of flowers coming. Some of the fruits are starting to set. But you know what's a good thing to do when your flowers are coming? Is to give your plant a good shake. And that will help to pollinate your flowers, because they're all self-pollinating. They just need a little bit of vibration to set. So especially if you're finding that your flowers aren't appearing, your tomatoes, you need to give them a good shake. Oh, but look at these. You know, I've not had a good close look at these for a while because it's been too hot to come in here. What variety is this? Oh, I've lost the label. That's not helpful. One thing that I need to do in here is just to have a good tidy of the plants. Make sure I've removed lots of the lower leaves so there's more airflow to prevent blight, because a lot of people I've been hearing, perhaps not in Nottingham yet, but on Instagram you guys are saying that you've had blight. So yes, the weather's definitely been quite warm and humid, so it is those conditions that, you know, blight love to travel in the air. So, oh, and they're looking a little bit thirsty and hot, so must remember to keep watering these. I've never had one of those super tomatoes, you know, when you get more than one flower that sort of grow together and then you get like a super tomato. Never had one of those. And underneath we've got lots of chilies and sweet peppers. Most of these are now flowering. Some of them have fruited quite early because they're in smaller pots this year. I haven't potted them up into the huge 10-litre pots like I did, and that seems to have encouraged them to fruit a lot earlier. Look at those, very nice. So yes, we've got a few chilies on the way. That looks like the cayenne. I thought I recognised that smell. Look who's made a comeback. It's my citrus, my lemon tree that defoliated when it got really stressed a few months ago. Early spring it was, and it's only just starting to make a recovery. But it's covered in buds as well, so hopefully we're going to have lots more lemons. Oh yes, I'm just so thrilled it didn't die. That fragrance though, oh my god, it smells so good. How is your greenhouse or polytunnel looking? See, I need to give it a bit more maintenance in here. We've got side shoots coming which you need to remove. Yeah, it needed a lot more TLC in here whilst I have cooler temperatures in the evening for sure. Unfortunately, I don't have any cherries this year, and I think they were lost due to the frost. This one flowers a lot earlier than my apple, and I think it got most of the blossoms, unfortunately. And here I am at the top of the allotment towards the end of July in 2021. So that's it for July, and I can't quite believe another month is almost up. But as we go into August, there's going to be more crops for picking. I mean, all of those peas, I need to harvest them now. We're going to have loads more courgettes, loads more tomatoes hopefully, and chilies and potatoes. The dahlias are all going to be hopefully out come this time next month, so they're going to be putting on a phenomenal display, and I can't wait to see that new border in front of the shed come up, because we've got a bit of a mix going on there, and I think they're going to grow really well because they get a lot of sunshine, so that's going to look quite special and really looking forward to it. So anyway, thank you very much for watching this episode. I know it's been a bit unplanned, rather impromptu, but I hope you enjoyed it all the same. Let me know how your garden is growing. I'd love to hear from you, and yeah, I'll see you again real soon.